Every year, the chances of getting killed by your neighbor are much higher than the chances of getting killed by a snake. And with that fact, we are starting in this episode of Inspiriert Anders. My name is Luca Beutel, and with me together on the other side of the planet in Pakistan is Rehan Ul Haq. Hi Rehan, how are you doing?
Hello, Luca. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm fine. Sun is shining as always in Brazil, but I guess it's most likely the same in Pakistan now. It's getting spring.
Yeah, the spring is coming, but right now it's like 9:30 p.m. So, yep, no more sun right now.
All right, it's already evening at yours, yeah.
Yep.
Rehan, you are working with snakes. Is this correct? Tell us a little bit about what are you doing?
So right now, I'm in Pakistan and I'm after my PhD now I am an assistant professor in a public sector university in Pakistan. So yes, I am working with snakes and not only snakes but all the wildlife in general. But the snakes they are my the area of interest in my research.
Okay. Yeah, it's not only snakes, you're also working a lot with, in general, nature and animals, and a lot of bird watching, and we will get into that deeper within the next 45 minutes. So,
Perfect.
so you've been in Pakistan, you've been born and raised in Pakistan. Tell us a little bit about, yeah, your childhood and how did it come that you ended up being teaching and having a PhD and teaching about snakes and wildlife in general in Pakistan now.
Okay, so in Pakistan, I always like say this thing that we are a confused nation. But you know how when we born, the first words as a Muslim which we heard are from is azan, which is in Arabic. And as a Muslim, we need to learn Quran. So the first language which we start learning is Arabic. Then we have like four provinces, and every province have their own local language, which we call as mother language. Then we start learning our mother languages, and this is Punjabi in case of my province. So then, at the age of 5 or 6, we need to start our school, and for school, you have to learn the national language, which is Urdu. So then we jump into another new language thing. And then in the schools are all the educational system and official language is English. So we need to jump a lot.
So when
So
you start school, you already speak like most likely two languages and then learn two new
yeah,
one.
minimum,
Okay,
exactly,
wow.
minimum two. And the same goes with our choosing of the occupations for us. In Pakistan, when a kid is born, their parents had already this thing in their mind that he's either going to be a doctor or an engineer. And by
Okay.
doctor, I mean the human physician. Like the degree here is called is MBBS, Masters of I think something in surgery and medicine. So
Okay.
all of the people who can go into the medical colleges and engineering college, they are like the top people, the most intelligent one, or the thetas, we call it in our local language. So, so my parents, they had this dream of sending all of their kids to to be human doctors. So all of us, when we started, we were born in a village, and then we stayed there for 5 years, at least 5 years, in my case. So in the villages, we were really close to nature. I still remember that my uncle, he was a hunter. So after in every weekend we have like sometime there are partridges coming, of course the killed ones, and sometimes the ducks are coming, and sometimes yes. So I was living in a very close proximity with different animals. We have horses in our home, we have deers, we have kettles, and there are sometimes he also brought some wild birds to be kept as pets. So I was growing with all these animals and everything. So one day I remember that he brought something in a shopping bag, and he asked me and my sister that there is something in the bag. Can you please open it? And when he opened it, like away from us, there was a black thing inside, and it was a snake. And I was screaming as loud as I can.
I
He
can
just
imagine.
held it, and then he just held it, and it was a snake made of plastic. And I was like, this is wrong. At stage, I started working on this thing. I started working on my fear. And then I was like, when I completed my education, I later I came to the city and I started my school. In the school, I was like not a very like bright kid. I was like getting fifth or sixth in my class, and but my other siblings they were like first or second, and that was like the black sheep of my
The black
family.
black sheep of the family. You didn't want to become a doctor in human medicine.
I
You
I,
wanted
I
to work with
want
vet
so
and animals.
So this is not something that we choose because everyone is since the day one. If everyone is going to say you that Luca, you need to become a doctor. Luca, you need to become a doctor. Your aunt is visiting. Luca, you need to become a doctor. Look at the son of blah blah. He's a doctor. Look at the son of your dad uncle. He's a doctor. So you started like uh, what should I say that your inner personality or your what you want to become is like always overlapped with this thing in the society.
With the pressure.
So at
Yeah,
the age
with
of
the
like
pressure from outside.
yeah, it's a peer pressure, it's a pressure from your society. So you started thinking like them that okay, I need to become a doctor. But again, you need to have
Yeah.
very high marks for becoming a doctor, which I couldn't get. So that the only option that I had at that moment to get into a veterinary vet school. So I started doing uh, doctor of veterinary medicine. But initially, in the first 2 years, I was not doing it wholeheartedly. I was just like okay, going to the college. I was very good in extracurricular activities such as speeches and dramatics. So I was more involved in those things than the studies. But later, at the end of third year, we had the clinics thing that you need to spend some time in either the pet center or in the large animal section so you can understand and you can see that how they are being treated. So that was the moment when I started liking the veterinary medicine.
So
So
you
after
had
like
to
the third year,
when you grow up when you grew up you had this pressure, not only you but also your siblings. You have to become a doctor or an engineer, but for you it was like doctor in the human medicine, not some
ex-
physicians or like this kind of
oh, they
doctor.
don't consider them.
Doesn't count. It's not a real
Yeah, it
doctor.
doesn't count. Only a human doctor is a doctor. Even our PhDs, even our
Um,
PhDs, it's
Crazy.
hard. So
You are a confused country.
yeah, we are.
Like you said, like you said. And then but you had this pressure and you wanted to fulfill this pressure and what came from the outside. You started to, but your grades weren't good enough to go this path.
Yeah,
So you decided,
exactly.
okay, let's go with the veterinarian path
Yeah,
and try that. But
yeah, instead of
yeah,
wasting an
instead of
try to improve my grades, I decided that okay, no, I'm not going to waste an year or trying again. I'm just going with the flow and going into the veterinary medicine.
and
So which
how
in
how did your family react when you decided when you brought the
oh,
news?
I still remember that my brother and my sister, uh, they can't like explain to their friends and everyone that he's a veterinarian. So yeah, yeah, he's studying something about this, and this.
Oh my god.
So for
Oh my
them, it
god.
was like a matter of shame, you can say.
But you can still go home from time to time and they still
Yeah.
open the door for
So I
you.
was, yeah, because I was in the same city, my university was in the same city, so I have to go home. I had no other option.
Okay, so the pressure is real. The pressure is real. It's not just like
Yeah, it
words.
is. Like
It's
I
real.
know a lot of my cousins and a lot of my family members who are like wasting 2 or 3 years of their life to just to get into the medical colleges. So
But
yeah,
is Pakistan known for so many good like human medicine doctors?
yeah.
I Because when I think about Pakistan, I told you that before we started recording. When I think about Pakistan, I always have this scene in mind from
Money
what's it
heist.
called? Money Heist, yeah, Money Heist,
Exactly.
where they need the hackers and they're all sitting in Pakistan. The best
No,
hackers are all sitting in Pakistan.
I guess a lot of good doctors are also from Pakistan, especially the people who are practicing in the US. Like my brother, my sister-in-law, they're all in the US right now, and they're practicing medicine.
Okay, so it's kind of you have these doctors, these experts, maybe the best on their field, but they don't stay in Pakistan. They go.
A lot of them do, but like they are brilliant enough to pass different tests in other countries because our education system or this thing is quite good when it comes to the medical.
Okay, okay. Yeah, okay, then it makes absolutely sense that your families are like, okay, he has to get it's like to another country where he earns like millions of dollars and get
And
out of
then when it
Pakistan.
comes to the girls, the pressure is even more. Okay, if you'll become a doctor, people will marry you.
Very
So
good.
that's the so yeah, that pressure is real.
Rehan, you won't find a girl if you become a vet. You won't. You have to become a
Oh,
doctor in human medicine, yeah?
exactly. Yeah, this is the thing that we are going to hear in
Oh
Pakistan if you're
wow.
not. So the
Oh wow,
pressure is real.
that is crazy. That is crazy. Okay. Okay,
So
so
yeah, the generation is obsessed with being a medical doctor or being an engineer. So way less people they actually pursue their dreams. They actually I'm just lucky. I choose something, and I had this love since my childhood, but in the whole like school years and the pressure of becoming a doctor, I lost it. But I'm glad that I found it back.
yeah. And it's sad that this pressure is so high to put people in two different in only two spots with their
Exactly.
because there are like so many things you could do in the world with your life
Exactly.
and you cannot press like hundreds of millions in two in two jobs,
Another thing is
job
that
families.
most of the brilliant people they are going into these fields and they are going into these fields even if they don't want to. So
Yeah,
imagine
that's exactly that.
the people they use the same talent for let's say in veterinary medicine or let's say in the software thing. So they can even excel even more. So this is a real problem in our society.
Yeah, and it's a shame because you told me that Pakistan is like it's really huge. Like it's a
Yeah, it
I don't
is.
know the fifth or sixth biggest country in the world from a
Yeah,
size
by
perspective, I
population,
guess.
yes.
And yeah,
By
and
size, no, but by population, yeah, it's
yeah,
like
but
second,
nevertheless,
third,
size it's I would say top 10 at least. Or I looked
at
it up
least. Yeah,
on my world map here behind me, and
yeah,
Pakistan is big.
it is huge.
It is
Yeah,
big, and you have so much nature, and
it,
there are so many possibilities you could do with nature. And as you also told me, you have this kind of you don't live in apartments or studio apartments. You live
yeah,
with a piece of nature, like a house or
exactly.
something, a garden. So you
Yeah.
are connected from your childhood to the nature,
So
and then you should pull out of that nature to get into human medicine or to become an engineer. That's crazy.
exactly. So this thing is like when I came back home, I was like working on our family house. I was like managing the construction site. So I was living in an apartment at that time, and one time my parents they came to visit me in that apartment, And they were like, how can you breathe in this apartment? I was
Okay.
living in the apartment in the Thailand for last like 6 or 7 years. But like this is the thing that they had like people they cannot live in apartments or if there is no lawn or if there is no open air, it's hard for especially for our parents.
Yeah, if you're not used to it, if you always lived in a big house with big space, in a lot of space and a garden or something, it's hard to like live in 2 or 3 rooms, like
Exactly.
teeny
I
tiny,
can.
like in a coffin.
Exactly. I can.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay.
but again, the people they are not connected this much.
Yeah, but they should be because you have so much different
Exactly.
species there, like we will
Yeah.
explain the next minutes.
Yeah.
And then you did you started your veterinarians uh,
Yeah.
veterinarian what's it called, PhD studies.
So initially, I was doing the Doctor of Veterinary Medicine, which is bachelor's.
Doctor.
So
Okay.
at the end of like it's a 5 years course, and at the end of that course, we have to do some internship. So I started doing because I was working, as I told you earlier, that the pet center, and we are working with the pets. So I was like, being an animal lover, I was working with them, and so I decided to go into this like pet side. So when I was like doing my internship, we have to complete a 5 months internship at the end of our degree in any, like if you want
Hmm.
to work on the dairy sector or the pet center or the wildlife side. So I chose a pet center. I was working with the companion animals, mostly dogs and cats. But the clinic had started at like 6 p.m. at night. So the daytime I was free. So I decided to do a volunteership at our local zoo. So that was the place which actually changed my whole perspective that, okay, I need to go into this field. Wildlife is uh, more real, it is more close to nature instead of working with the pets. I'm not saying that the pets they are bad. I have my own. They are wonderful, but the capacities are to work with the pets are limited. If you're in wild, you're more close because ultimately at the end of the day you have to work in a small clinic again if you're working with pets. You cannot go into the jungle working on pets.
Find a few wild dogs and cats.
Exactly.
Ah, not so
So
much.
again, so yeah. So when I was working with zoo animals at that time, I applied for different volunteerships abroad, and I got one in wildlife rescue and rehabilitation in Texas.
Okay.
Couldn't get because of love affair of Pakistan and the US.
Okay.
But then I started doing I decided that okay, now I need to work on wild animals. So I
But
started to,
what did you do when you were working in the wildlife rescue? What kind of animals did you rescue?
I was choose, but I couldn't go there because of the visa issue. But
Ah,
in
so sorry. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But in the zoo, I was working with mainly yeah, when I was working in the zoo, I the director once he asked us to all the interns to present something like about any animal you like. And at that time, for the very first time in my life, I hold a snake, and I decided to like, okay, I need to work on snakes. So I was working with the Indian rock python. That is the only species of pythons present in Pakistan. So
Okay.
for one assignment, I have to do its sexing, like to find that either it's a male or a female. So that was the very first time that I hold a snake, and I felt wonderful.
Oh God. Okay.
You feel so much in control, and you need to be extra careful. You need to be very alert. So, in fact, it's true for all the wildlife if you're working with, but for
Mm.
snakes, that's like they got a repo, I would say.
How
So
how
they
big was he or she?
it's a pair. It was a pair, and around 7 or 8 feet. One was around 7 and one was around 8.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so because they got this repo even in Pakistan and throughout the world, I would say. So for that, you need to be extra careful. So
Mm.
yeah, then I decided that okay, I will in my masters I will work on snakes. So that thing I continued then. Then I started doing my MPhil, which was in wildlife and ecology, and for the very first time I started working, started reading and about the ecology or the environment and how the wildlife is connected with it. So then the journey continues.
How was it when you just dived in a little bit, but how was it when you hold how is it when you hold a snake? Is
Oh,
it like I
they
mean
were very smooth.
I can even imagine touching one. I'm so full of fear about them.
They were very smooth
Okay.
and yet very powerful.
Okay.
Yeah, this is
Okay.
true about all the snakes which I have captured so far or hold so far. Uh, they are very powerful.
Hmm.
They don't look powerful, but their power is enormous. They are very powerful.
Yeah, and especially like python. What's it called? Pythons? Pythons?
Uh, Pythons, sorry?
Pythons, yeah, pythons, sorry.
Pythons are
Because
especially very because
yeah,
they are the constrictors. That this is how they have evolved. So they
yeah.
need to constrict in order to get food. So if they are like holding, let's say on your arm or on your, you really
Okay.
feel it.
Okay. They won't let go.
Yeah, they won't let go.
Okay. All right. How many times how many times have you been bitten by a snake?
Luckily, I haven't got bitten by a venomous one so far.
Hmm.
But for the non-venomous one, twice, I would say.
Only twice. Oh,
Yeah,
that is not so much. I thought
yeah,
you're like bitten each
I am
week.
being
Each
very,
week.
very, very, very careful.
Okay. Good.
So,
How
but like for example, you will not see any of my picture on my social media with snakes because in a way this thing encourage different peoples, even if they are not trained properly, to
yeah.
hold them. So you need to be extra careful with these things,
So you don't post pictures with snakes holding them because
especially if,
you are
yeah,
afraid people could try to do that on their own, but they are
yeah. So
not trained professionals and
we need to put
yeah.
that disclaimer that don't try this at home.
Don't try this at home. These are trained professionals. Don't try this at home.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Okay.
especially if I'm free handling, like if I'm handling without any, like let's say the tongs, or if I'm not using any hook. Sometimes you have to work barehanded or free handling. This is what we
Mm.
call them. Like if there is some problem in, few days ago, I was holding a snake because it had some eye problem. So I had no other option than to free handle it.
Yeah. I mean, eye problem is pretty close to the mouth.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Okay.
so you have to hold him properly and then inspect the eye. So this is the thing that you have to do, but you need to be extra careful again. Even if you have to treat, like there is one YouTube channel and the person is Viper Keeper. He says that the most venomous snake is the one which just bit you.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
this is the
get it.
thing with the snakes.
Yeah. It's. I think it's always the same. Treat animals with respect and don't lose the respect for them because they are like they want to kill, like to live. And if they fear, or if they feel fear, then they could attack you. So be
Yeah, because
respectful.
it's not the animals which want to like kill you. These are the things which are very common in whole world about the snakes, especially they are notorious. But
Yeah.
no snake will come to kill you. That okay, today I am going to kill Rehan because he captured me years ago. No, he's not going to do this. So and this is the humans which are intervening in their privacy or in their space. It's not the other way around. And it's true for all creatures. It's true for all other creatures other than humans. We are the one who are like going into their places or into their space.
Territory, yeah.
Yeah.
Their area, yeah. That's right. Okay, let's continue with your story.
Yeah, yeah. So then after masters, I was in masters I was working with the pythons, again the same species, and then during masters I got a scholarship of in Thailand. So for MS leading to PhD, so then I like in 2012 I like started my PhD in Thailand. So in Thailand, I wanted to again work on amphibians or snakes or more reptiles, but like due to some like necessary permissions that we have to take before handling snakes or before doing any experiment, so I decided to change my subject. But again, I choose birds, and as you know that the birds they're still from the reptiles and still they're called as the flying dinosaurs.
Yeah,
So then
yeah.
my PhD research was about the birds, that how land use changes, how the climate change, and how different hydrological changes they are affecting their population.
That was your final work about to
Yeah, that
conclude
was
your
my
PhD.
PhD work. So for
Okay.
that, we had some previous data, and I need to collect like 1 year data on my own, because I also wanted to see that how different human disturbances they are affecting their behavior. So for wild animals, the behavior is the first like warning sign which you need to understand. Even for the snakes or even for any animal, they will warn you first. Like we have the rattlesnake, not we, but in the world, in the US, we have there is a rattlesnake or the cobra, if you have heard about
Hmm?
that, they will
Yeah.
raise their hood to. So that's a warning sign that you are coming too close. The rattlesnake, it has rattlers to warn the humans or any animals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You hear that? Yeah.
So these are the warning signs, and it's all behavior. So imagine if a person you don't know that what is the hood meant in case of cobra, or what the rattle means in case of a rattlesnake. So if you're not understanding their behavior, you cannot. For the behavior side, I have to stay in that national park for an year. So every after
Hmm.
every 2 weeks, I have to stay whole day in on some island in that national park from morning 6 to evening 6. I have to stay in one place with binoculars on, and I have to record the behavior after every like 5 minutes. So yeah, this is what I did for an year.
Uh, okay, so you were 1 year in a national park and
Yeah,
studied behavior of birds when
yeah,
you
behavior.
intrude their territory, how they behave, or general behavior.
So it was a lake, very big lake, and the lake was divided into two parts. One was the place where the hunting of like fishing is allowed, and in the second part, the fishing was not allowed. So
Okay.
comparing the behavior of birds in both like areas, that with the human traffic and human like if their boats are coming and going, how and in one place there are no boats, so how the behavior is different in both places.
Okay. I got it. And how? What were the results?
So the results were amazing. In fact, the first one was like the land use and climate change, how these things are affected. Again, these things are linked with the humans. Like if the land use is changing, it's because people they need more land for making, let's say, housing colonies, or
Yeah.
um, for making more to grow more rice
Yeah.
in case of
Farming. Yeah.
exactly farming and everything. So yeah, the land use changes, they were the first main issue that the birds were facing. And about the birds' behavior, the birds which were in the hunting area or the fishing area, they were always more alert. So if they're
Mm.
more alert, it means that they are paying less attention to the food resources. So because they're always, okay, is there anything,
Hmm.
anyone? So now they
Okay.
cannot and put more attention towards their food. So
Okay.
there
So
were
the
number of birds there, and they were
hmm.
more alert, they were more afraid, let's say,
Hmm.
and they were always in groups. And some of them are looking upward if there is something, and some of them are eating. So they have adapted to those conditions.
Ah, that's crazy. Like how fast they adapt to these
Yeah,
changes. So, for example, the outcome was in the area where the humans are involved, like with ships, with farming, and etc. There were less animals living, but they were more aware. So you couldn't
exactly.
approach them like
Yeah,
you could approach the birds on the other side of the lake. You
yeah.
could go
The
nearer
birds, they
to
were more
them. They were
relaxed.
more,
Yeah,
yeah,
they
hanging
were
out.
exactly hanging out, engaged in courtship behavior, like making love and everything. That
Good.
was also one behavior which I was admiring, that either they're making love in the fishing area or not. So the birds in the non-fishing area, they were more engaged in that behavior.
Great. So it's also good for reproducing. Uh,
Yeah,
okay, good to know. I mean, that is in when I speak of Germany from my perspective, we are like a really small country and we have many people living in our country. So,
yeah,
but we also have a lot of nature and but we also build a lot of new things and forests get burned down and we build a new
exactly.
airport there. So I think that's always something to keep in mind that we are intruding their territory and not the other way
Exactly.
around. So
Exactly.
the deer is not standing on the road. It's more like the
You
car is driving through his territory where
exactly. The road is built on
forest
his
was.
territory.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, that's correct. So you did spend this in which park was it? Was it in Thailand or was it back in Pakistan?
It's in Thailand. It's in the central Thailand. It's a wetland which is called as Bangbora wet wetland. So it is the largest freshwater wetland in Thailand.
Ah, okay, okay. So you spent your year there. You did
Yeah.
finish your research there, and then with your PhD went back to Pakistan, or you stayed a little bit in Thailand.
So I was like it 2014 whole year I was in the field. So in 15, we were also doing like the data that we got was starting from 2003 to 2014. It was 12 years data. The 14 one which I collected myself, and the rest of the data was given to me by the Department of National Park.
Okay.
So we were also doing the surveys to count the birds every fortnight. So those surveys, like usually we need to set 7 or 8 hours in a boat, and we have to count birds and see if there is anything going on with the habitat and everything. So that whole year was amazing. I still remember
Yeah.
that year. So you're sitting in a boat and the boat is moving and you're just like counting birds. You're
You want to do it
experiencing
again?
species.
You want to do it
Yeah,
again?
I would do it like for the rest of my life if I can.
Great. Just do it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
because
what are the
now
steps?
because
What are
I'm
the
more
steps you have to
engaged.
take?
Yeah, I need to leave my university and job.
Okay.
Yeah. So, so then in the next year, I was working on cleaning that data and to arrange that data into something, if that data is telling me something. So at the end of 2016, I got Erasmus Exchange Mobility Scholarship. So
Hmm.
I went to University of Granada in Spain. So one of my objective on which the behavior one, I met a professor in University of Granada who was also working on the evolutionary side of the behavior. So then I completed my research there, and that was also a very necessary break from my PhD. So during PhD, there comes a time that you are saying that, okay, now I'm going to just like leave it.
Yeah,
So
I can imagine.
I was at that stage in 2006. So for his next 6 months, I didn't. So my professor in University of Granada, he said that because as a PhD student, you must have a lot of burden. So I am not going to give you any new assignment. You just work on your PhD during these 6 months.
Yeah.
So I did nothing. I was just enjoying traveling in the Europe, in different countries, meeting new people. So those 6 months has changed I would say my whole life.
Okay.
Yeah,
In which way? In which way?
in a good way.
Okay, that's good to hear. But
So I
why? But
met
why did
new
it change? Why
people.
did it? Okay, okay,
Yeah,
and
we met
experience other
different
cultures.
people, experienced very different cultures. Like I was before that, my whole life was in Asia. So
Yeah.
in those 6 months, I traveled like 8 or 9 more countries and um, learning new cultures, meeting new people, new languages. So, and as I was not paying much attention to my studies, that was a stress-free time for me.
Okay.
And actually pay, and when then I came back and after like spending 6 months, and I remember that in the next 3 months, I completed my whole thesis, my
Oh,
whole paper.
nice.
So because that like I was relaxed before, and then
Yeah.
working from morning 8 to evening 8, and in 3 months, I would say that I completed all
Yeah.
of my,
It seems like you just needed a break. Just needed a
yeah,
break, and
I guess
then
all PhDs does.
yeah, back to work with 100% motivation and push it through
Exactly.
in a few months. Nice. So you had your PhD ready and finished, and then you returned to
Yeah,
Pakistan.
yeah, I got my PhD degree back in 2018. So I was also the valedictory speaker or the graduation speaker of that
Oh,
ceremony. So yeah, that was a
great
good
honor.
yeah. So then I came back in 2018, and since then I joined my university in Pakistan, and the very university from which I completed my bachelor's and master's. So in fact, they called me that my chairman in that department when he heard that I'm back. So I'm very honored that he called me and
Cool.
said that come and join our university.
And
And
now you went from being the student to being the teacher, professor
exactly,
at your
exactly,
university. Okay.
exactly.
And how long? So you're doing this since 2018, 19, more or
Yeah,
less?
yeah, from 19, exactly.
19. What's, I mean, you're still very young, Rehan. What do you think,
I know.
or what would you like to do the next years, or maybe in 10 years? You want to go back to do a study in a national park, or don't know, stay at
So
a
now
university?
okay, so now when I was in Thailand, I got so much support from my Thai colleagues and those people. And I was on a scholarship from my government. So I decided that, okay, I need to uh, give something back to my people.
Mm-hmm.
So I have this plan that I want to uh, like change people's perspective towards wildlife in Pakistan because we need this thing here. So now I'm trying to like work on some students and work with some students. So now I'm working on a project that we will start like teaching our kids about wildlife because I think the only people who can change this thing, it's not us. Our generation is, I don't think so that at this stage, um, like there is a saying that the old dogs, it's very hard to teach old dogs. So instead, so instead of like, it's hard for me to even learn new things right now. So I can imagine that it's not easy at this stage. So what I'm doing right now is changing people's like students' perspective and um, from the kids' perspective, especially. So now we are working on a project that we will teach our kids, the school kids, about wildlife. I got this idea.
Ah,
I
cool.
was in on Erasmus. One of my friend he told me that in Belgium they take students out for 2 or 3 days hike, especially when only the school kids, and they learn about nature and these things. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the same thing, that we need to connect our kids with the nature. So
Yeah,
maybe
that's
change their
important.
parents.
So
Exactly.
important. Yeah. I mean, that's also bringing in your personal experience into your act in your current job, because you were this kid like very connected to the nature, and it was taken from you in some way,
Exactly.
that you were pushed into this medical sector, human medicine,
Exactly.
and now you're back teaching students who don't want to become
Yeah,
human medicine doctor, and also going a step further, also teaching nature to kids, and making
exactly.
it attractive to them, so that they could maybe escape the pressure from
Exactly. At least
society
they
and
can,
parents.
exactly, they can choose whatever they want to be.
Yeah, yeah.
If they want to be with nature, or if they want to be a veterinarian, or if they want to
Give
be
them options.
a
Yeah.
wildlifer, they can choose their option instead of like going following the same track.
Is this is this also what you think has to change on the whole world? Our view about the nature, and that we should teach our kids a little bit more about nature to preserve it better?
Yeah, it's very important. It is very, I cannot like emphasize more on this thing. That right now this is the most important. Now, like now we are saying that the COVID and these are coming because we are not connected to nature, because we are destroying nature. So if we just like for a second, um, if the virus is coming from the Chinese wet markets, let's assume that it came from the wet market. So because there are different species there which are not meant to be together. In nature, you will not find them together in small
Mm,
cages. Never. But when you are
yeah.
forcing them together, there are chances that the viruses or different pathogens, they can jump from one species to another, and they can create something totally different. So
Mm,
now this is, I think that for a human race, this is the first warning. So
yeah.
now our whole world is crippled.
Warning
You can
shot.
vote exactly. So
Warning
I
shot from
it's
Mother
the very
Nature.
first warning shot. Yeah.
Mm.
So we need to
Okay.
learn from this thing.
So that's yeah, that should be the message out there, to yeah, take care of your nature and let your kids play
Other,
outside a little bit.
Otherwise, nature will take care of you,
Yeah. Otherwise,
and you.
nature will take care of himself, I guess, of
Yeah.
himself. Yeah. Rehan, we are already with talking for nearly 45 minutes. Incredible.
Okay.
Time flies by. You have such a inspiring story, because of the circumstances you were raised, and your confused country, as you said it. Yeah, pressures you
Yeah.
into one role, but you
Exactly.
somehow escaped that role, and now you have a whole different perspective on things, on
Exactly.
nature, and that is really inspiring. I really love that you shared the story with us today. You want to get something out there additional to what we just said?
Yeah, that's it. Like we need to pursue our dreams if we have, and the dreams from the childhood.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
if you're like there is a saying that if you're doing what you love, you don't have to work a single day. So it's the same thing for me.
yeah. That's a good metaphor. Yeah, very good. Rehan, let's get to the closing questions.
Sure.
What is a song you would like to recommend today?
So my song choice, it usually changes with time because I need to travel a lot for my daily commute. I have to travel around like 100 kilometers. So I have like sometimes I like a song, and nowadays I'm listening to a song, Sway With Me.
Mm-hmm.
It's Sway With Me, SWAY, Sway With Me.
From which band? Which artist?
This I forgot. I, and I was just like started listening it like 2 or 3 days ago. I listened it maybe 6 months ago, and then I forgot. And yesterday, by mistake. And now it's like 200th time I'm listening to this song.
Addicted. Already addicted.
Yeah,
What's
already
your
addicted.
what's your guilty pleasure, Rehan?
Okay. So, uh, this again I experienced today. Whenever I am in a gardening shop, I'm like spending like I don't like today. I think I spent 3 hours in a gardening shop, and I bought like 1 or 2K worth of plants. And this is what's happening whenever I'm passing nearby a nursery or a gardening shop. So yeah, this
That's a
is one.
that's a good guilty pleasure. Yeah, that's a
It
good
is,
one.
yeah, it is. And my car, it's dirty because there were plants in it, so I have to clean that thing again. So this is being
You
happening
can't.
in this week. It's like third time that I've been.
Okay, yeah, we can count that. We can let that count as a guilty pleasure if it's like 3 times a week. That's crazy. But okay, who would you like to listen to on this podcast, Rehan? One person that inspired you.
Okay, we have like in AIT, there were so many people from different nationalities. So I have a friend from Laos.
Mm-hmm.
Laos, it's a country very near to the Thailand. So she's working on something which is zero waste Laos. It's her project,
Uh-huh.
baby project, and she's like converting all of your house garbage and everything into like something productive.
Oh,
So she's
cool.
so I was even thinking that we need to maybe start the same thing in other countries also. Like we can, instead of throwing everything, the plastic pollution and everything, we need
Yeah.
to adopt practices. So yeah, her name is Sook, and she's working on this NGO she made. It's her own baby idea. So she's working on that thing which is zero waste Laos. So I
Nice.
would like to
Sounds
hear
very
more.
interesting. That sounds very
Yeah.
interesting, Rehan. Rehan, that's it already. So fast.
Yeah, it
Thank
is.
you very much for being on this podcast. I would say you tell the people where they can find you if they want to learn more about nature, wildlife, and snakes and birds,
Yeah.
especially. And then I will wrap this thing up.
So I have my Instagram page, which is more like only for the professional purposes. It's about the wildlife and birds mainly. Instagram is Rehan Ul Haq, Rehan dot ul dot haq. So you can find me on Instagram, or if there is something more then LinkedIn or ResearchGates or other options. So you can,
Yeah,
it's the professional one.
great. You also find Rehan on the Instagram post with Inspire and Anders. He will be
Yeah.
linked. So if you don't find him, just contact me and I will pass it on to you, Rehan.
Thank you, Lohan.
Thank you very much for being here, for telling your story, for being that open and honest about the wildlife and nature and your whole experience and also giving a little bit of insights about the Pakistan life and lifestyle.
The
Um,
academic lifestyle.
a little bit confused, but nice.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, thanks so much for being here, guys. Thanks for listening this week again. Check out the homepage inspireandanders.com. You will find everything there, infos to our guests, episodes, where to find a podcast on social media. Thanks for listening. Stay healthy and take care. Thanks, Rehan. Bye bye.